Why have you forsaken me? How many times we feel like that going through life? Well, I'm going to read what the saying says. It said this on Mark 15:37. I got, in about the ninth hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Now, we know that Jesus got all power. And for him to say that something was going on, wasn't it? But we have to also realize that Jesus was in what? Man form. He wasn't in his godly form, but he was in the form of humanity. And we know that humanity is frail and weak. Our humanitarian love won't carry us through. If that's the case, we wouldn't even have wars that we have now. We wouldn't have people bickering and fighting if humanity was strong enough to love. But it is a form of love. It's man's form of love, the world form of love. That's why it's called humanity. And we know that Jesus was going through a humanity form. And we got to figure out, why did he say this expression? Jesus felt like his father turned his back on him, didn't he?
Yes.
We feel like Jesus turned his back on us when he don't answer our prayers, don't we? It ain't that he ain't answering our prayers. It ain't that he don't hear us. Because it say Jesus roared with a loud cry. And that's the Son of God roaring. That ain't like our voice. And I believe he did that in the spirit. In my study, and it says that the angel came and talked to him when he cried like that. See, so if the angel heard him, all the man should have heard him. But we do those things that we turn a deaf ear to the Lord, don't we? Amen. And then when we get in trouble, we say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I've forsaken you because you're doing evil. I've forsaken you because you haven't followed my word. Anytime Jesus said something to one of the disciples or to man, he said, I'm about what? My Father's business. Okay. And it was his Father's business that he came and died on that cross. My sister just told you how he took provisions for his mother. It said in the beginning that he took provisions for us. At the very point of creation. Now I'm going to get down into this word a little bit, explaining about why my God has forsaken me. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verses 21. They say God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. Humanity was taught, but here's the Spirit speaking. It's saying that he had to take on that for us. Can I get a reader for Galatians chapter 3:13, please? And while you turn to that, I'm going to talk on this a little bit. We got to understand that Jesus felt separated from his Father at that point when he said that. He felt separated because the sin and the weight of the world was so heavy in humanity form. It's heavy on us, isn't it? How many people out there today committing suicide? It's a lot of them, ain't it?
Yes, yes.
Right now in our time, let me bring it to our time right now, in this present day, in this hour. Somebody somewhere sitting at home thinking about suicide, thinking about God has forsaken them. Judas thought God had forsaken him too. Judas went and committed suicide. Y'all, Judas didn't have to go to hell. Judas put himself in hell. How did he do that? He did the one thing that God told us we can't atone for. And how can you atone for something when you're dead? Judas died, he killed himself. All he had to do was go back to the Father. See, now that's another sin, because at the end of this, I don't want to get into nobody else's word, but the word goes hand in hand. And it says, after he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? He made another cry and he gave up the ghost. Judas gave up the ghost without the cry. Judas gave up the ghost without worrying about God had forsaken him. The only reason why God had forsaken him because he had what? Evil on him. And all he had to do was turn back to the Father because the brother that he turned in was atoning for his sins at the same hour. He did this thing after his brother had went to the cross and died. So that means he had somebody to intercede between him and God for him. Sometimes we do the same thing. We sitting there crying for a pity party and don't worry about what God has done for us and what he still has doing for us. Do anybody have Galatians 3:13?
Yet Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree.
Now you see why I was talking about Judas, don't you? Judas went and hung himself on a tree. Judas couldn't get back to the Lord. But Jesus felt like he was forsaken. Who was really forsaken? The man on the cross or the man in the tree? We have to look at this. And it leads me to my study. It leads me to Psalms 22. And in Psalms 22, it begins with, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? This is the same thing Jesus said on the cross. But this was some 1,000 years before Jesus even came on the earth that this was said in Psalms. You hear me? Some 1,000 years. So that lets you know that God's always in control. And he has a plan and he has made provisions for us. But we feel like we're forsaken when we're not. And it goes on to read, be not for me, for trouble is near, for there is no help. Many bulls have surrounded me, strong bulls of bison have encircled me. They open wide their mouth at me, as raven a roaring lion. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within me. The sister just told you how they whooped him, and what they whooped him with, and what it did to him when they whooped him. And he said, by my stripes you are healed. If he wouldn't have felt forsaken, by his stripes we could not be healed. It's in raven a roaring lion. That's that voice I told you that man couldn't hear at the time. Man didn't want to hear. Did he? Because if it was so, they wouldn't have crucified their Savior. It say, my heart is like wax. It is melted within me. This is what Jesus was feeling when he was saying what he said, why hast thou forsaken me? My strength is dried up like a parched, and my tongue cleaveth to my jaw. And thou layest me in the dust of death. This is what Jesus was feeling in the human form. The angels say something about us. They ask God, what is it about them that you spend so much time? And then I read in Hebrews, the angels asked the same thing again. But they was asking at this time about Jesus. And they say that you gave him all power over all things. See, he had to die to humanity so that he can conquer all things. We have to die to this suit that we got on so that we can conquer all things in the spirit. See, this way the transformation came in. Jesus had to be transformed. And the only way to get back to the Father was to die in this form. So we have to die daily to ourselves. And it say, for dogs have surrounded me, as a band of evildoers had encompassed me. Thou pierced my hands and my feet. Oh Lord, the crucifixion. This was some 1,000 years before Jesus got here, and the songwriter was already writing about it. I can count all my bones. Then the sister said it ripped all the meat off him. Jesus already seen this in the spirit, y'all. It said they had stared at me. They divided my garments among them, and for clothing they cast lots. If this is not the Son of God, why are you casting lots for a simple man's garment? Even the soldier knew who Jesus was after it was finished. And the Jews, they use the terms dogs to explain who? Us, the Gentiles. Because Jesus didn't come here to preach to us, y'all. He didn't come to bring the word for us. But on that cross, he atoned for the world. And that gave all us away. That's why we are able to be in here today. To do what we're doing right now. Able to have that free will to make those decisions to do right from wrong. All because this man said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And to sum it all up, I thank the Lord for saying, my God, my God. The next time I cry out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I'm going to go back and really look into that word that comes from Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John. And I'm going to really put on that suit that I'm already in. And I'm going to put on that mind of Christ that we're supposed to have as saints. And then I'm going to know why he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?